Hey everyone, thanks for dropping by. Good to have you here. So, Windrose. I've been sitting on this one for a while. Frankly, I wanted to get into the game and get some good experience under my feet. I didn't want to come at you with a half-baked, played the game for 3 hours and here's my take kind of episode. So, what I'm going to go into is after about between 30 and 35 hours and a few live streams. So I've got a little bit of the game. I've got a firm grasp of what is in the game. And if you haven't checked it out yet, Windrose is a game that's in early access. You can find it on Steam. And it is the kind of game that if you like pirate slash nautical type games, which are also of the survival kind of nature, but with a little bit more structured than what we're used to in survival games, you may like this. So I set a personal milestone. I wanted to reach Tortuga before I actually did this video. It's the main hub in the world. Can you reach there or rush things and get there quicker than I did? Sure, but these type of games are really not about getting there. It's so much as enjoying yourself getting there. And I tried to take a little bit of all the different experiences available in this game, because it seems like this is a game is several different types of games mashed together and spoiler alert, done pretty well. So anyway, I got to Tortuga, and this video is going to be my takes on what I enjoyed about the game, what didn't quite land, and what surprised me, and whether I think it's worth your time. So let's dive in. So before anything else, what is this game? I know some of you have probably seen it floating around, but weren't quite sure what category it falls into. And as I mentioned before, it seems to me like this game is like three different types of games mashed together and done pretty well, especially for an early access game. And, you know, that moniker is there because they haven't done full access. But to me, even the money I spent the full $30 on it. It's well worth it, and it's in the best situation as far as games go that I've tried in early access. So I haven't really had any problems with it up to this point. And if you are a frequent Steam user, there's really no way you could have avoided seeing coverage on this over the last 3 or 4 weeks, because I really think it comes down to the point that everyone was pleasantly surprised at this game, which came out from, it's not backed by a big company or anything, and I don't think there was a whole lot of advertisement behind it since it's just going into early access. So I think everyone that is reviewing it, doing tips, videos, and stuff like that was just really pleasantly surprised about it. So at its core, Windrose is a pirate nautical adventure. You're on the open ocean, you've got a ship, and the world is built around exploration and survival. But it's more layered than that description makes it sound. There are factions, there's a real story running underneath everything, and the choices you make have some actual weight to them. You have quests from the different factions that frame your experience and the different items you craft in game. And of course, you have a big part of the game, which is crafting and building structures. It's the kind of game where you go in expecting one thing and come out having had a slightly different experience than you anticipated. And I think that's a good sign usually. Honestly, my first impression is kind of very similar to other survival games I've played, like Valheim. It starts out very slow. It kind of eases you into things. You start learning right off the bat about crafting and building and things like that. And then there ends up being a point where it just kind of opens up to you, and you start realizing what actually can be done with the building engine. And then that kind of leads to actually the quest line that you get your first boat, which opens up the map to you, which is even better. So I won't get into it, but it is a procedurally generated map for everyone. Everyone's going to have the same things on their map, but they're going to be located in different locations. So me showing you where one place is for me, it's going to be different for you. However, there's a full quest line, and as you follow the quest and kind of advance your character, build up your armor, build up your weapons, make yourself stronger, eventually go out to sea and get your ship and strengthen it and learn about that. It's a whole thing, and it's one of those things that grabs you at a certain point, and then suddenly, like 3 hours later, you look up. You've been building a house on the beach or up right off the beach, and you look up and it's like 3 hours later and you don't know where the time has been. To me, that's kind of like the goalpost of a game. If a game does that to me after I've been a gamer for the last 20 or 30 years, then I know that's a game I'm going to enjoy. So my honest advice is, if you get the game and start playing it, give it a good solid go. Give it a good solid 1 or 2 play sessions. Get it up and running. Get into all the different mechanics of it before you make a full decision on it. The sailing is one of the core game loops, and I want to spend a minute on it because it's one of the things that this game does that I think sets it apart from other games, even other pirate type games. You don't really get fully into the sailing until after you've played the game for a few hours. It's not just point and go like other games where the water is flat and you point it and your boat goes there. In this game, there's an actual wind and water simulation. You have to pay attention to where the wind is coming from, trim your sails, reduce speed. If you're, flat out running from some pirates, you're going full speed. But once you get into an engagement, you're going to want to cut that speed down to like 3/4 or something like that, because your ship can turn a lot quicker. That's just an example, right? But the wave action and the wind action can really affect the battle, because you can find waves coming up between the ships you're shooting at and yourself, and you have to wait and time it and angle your ship correctly. It's a whole, like, I guess I could talk about it like being a dance, sort of like that. And you have to make real navigational decisions. It gives the whole experience a kind of physicality that I wasn't really expecting. You genuinely feel like you're out on the water. And then there's the weather when it rolls in. Storms, fogs, rough seas. It's obviously a lot easier to fight and battle other ships during the day than at the night. The atmosphere shifts completely. Some of those moments on stream, the last few streams I've been having on the game, have been genuinely tense. And that's not something I say lightly about a sailing game. My first stream I was fighting a boar. I actually died 3 times in a row to this boar, just trying to get to this, finish up this quest and get to the treasure chest. The second stream, I ended up fighting several pirates in a row, and I ended up actually beating 2 of the pirates in a 3 pirate situation, and then boarding the third, the treasure ship, and getting cut down in the battle, boarding the ship. Now, combat was a question I had going into this, and I'm not a big first-person combat type game, player. However, usually I find that it can go one of 2 ways. Either the combat action in the game requires, skill and forethought, blocking, shifting out of the way, picking a fast weapon versus a slow weapon that does more damage, something like that. Or it could be just like a combat system that really feels like it was layered in on top of the adventuring system, and there's not a whole lot to it. Well, in this case, it's the former. Especially, you have really 2 forms of combat. You have in person on either on the ship when you board a ship, or on an island when you're trying to explore an area and find the chests, whether you're fighting various wildlife or other pirates and stuff like that. it actually there's strategy to it. How you build the character out depends upon what type of weapons you're using and what type of armor you use. Just that kind of thing. It actually has layered depth to it, and it has strategy. Just like I was just mentioning, when you're out to sea and you're battling with another ship, there's actually strategy to it. There's aiming, there's leading your opponent, because everybody keeps moving during the battle. There's dealing with the water conditions and the weather conditions. I will be honest, though, this game really doesn't hold your hand. It lets you make mistakes and learn from them. There was a few encounters early on where I was just getting my footing, and I basically learned that you just can't charge in this game. You have to use, plan. And you kind of get into battles with, ships, and then you get into battles with wildlife and pirates, and you kind of learn what those characters are going to do. You anticipate what their moves are going to be, and then you try to block at the right time, etc. So I learned from those, and I'm doing a lot better. Now, something I wanted to give the game credit for is its world building, because I genuinely didn't expect to care about the lore as much as I ended up caring about it. A lot of times in these type of games, the lore is just written, so it's like throwaway. The conversations, the different journal entries and things you find. But in this game, it actually is shaping up to have a good storyline. There's a real history here put into place by the people that wrote this story. You piece it together through, like I said, journal entries, NPC conversations, and just the environment itself. The factions have actual distinct personalities and competing interests, not just window dressing. Every port feels like it has its own identity. I've been stopping to read logs, and in fact, I have to make sure that I'm in a safe location when I read a piece of a journal entry so I don't get attacked by a mob. That's not normally my thing, like I said. So that probably tells you something about how well the writing holds up. So, Tortuga. I want to explain why I made that my first goal. It wasn't arbitrary. Tortuga is the main hub in the world. It's where everything really opens up in the storyline. The deeper progression systems, and on your way to Tortuga, you're most likely going to stop by some other islands and open up several of the different factions. The better merchants, the quests that actually start to push the story forward are in Tortuga. Before that, you're finding your footing, you're learning about the game and how to progress and how to advance your character and make it stronger and get into some different fights of different types. After you find Tortuga, you're really getting into the meat of the game. But when I got there, it really felt earned. Without giving anything a whole lot away, there were real navigation decisions, and it was a nail biter in a few situations. Like I said, a few close calls getting there, and some moments where I wasn't sure if I was going to make it. When I finally pulled into that harbor, I just kind of like sat back for a minute, took a deep breath, and said, "Phew, I'm finally here." The game gave me that. When a game can actually make you do that, kind of lose track of your time, make you kind of hold your breath and grit your teeth as you're trying to thread that needle between some groups of pirates that are like multiple levels above you, I really think that's worth saying out loud. There were a few moments on stream that I keep thinking about. One in particular was a quest I was doing that had me go out to a particular area and fight three pirates, the Blackbeard pirates, it's kind of interesting because there's a lot of pirates in this game, right? But there's several different factions. The Blackbeard faction is the one we're basically fighting against. Anyway, three Blackbeard pirates, and I got into the battle, and I had mentioned this earlier. I didn't really handle it gracefully, but the the people who were on live stream helped me get through it, and it was a real nail biter. And honestly, everybody being there and commenting on the action really made it a lot better. It's one of those things that only happens because the game systems are deep enough to surprise you. You can't really manufacture that. So I'll give you an example here. I was fighting the 3 ships. There were 2 escort ships, and then there was a 1 treasure ship. I had battled one of the escort ships down to very minimal life, and I was getting battered by the other 2 ships. So I'm like, okay, I'll leave that guy there because he isn't, at that point, I had taken his sails down and he wasn't doing much. And so I started battling the other 2, and I started crippling the other escort ship. But as soon as I noticed the other ship had snuck around the backside of the island and started repairing itself. So I'm like, okay, this is not going to work because I had already went through several repair kits. And meanwhile, this battle had probably taken 15 or 20 minutes. So I'm like, okay, I got to go hunt that ship down and actually, fully destroy it before I start working on the next ship. So those type of things, that's the thing about Windrose. It keeps generating these little stories, and those are the moments that you remember long after you've put the game down. And, I found myself thinking and rerunning the battle in my mind when I went to bed that night about, what could I have done better? So I know people are going to ask how I think this game stacks up against other games in the same class, kind of like Valheim, a survival type game. And I'm ready to give my honest read on that. Where Windrose stands out is its atmosphere and systems detail. Like I said, this is an early access game, but it's in really good shape. They've really built a good foundation here. The wind and weather simulation is great. The way each location has a distinct feel to it. The way the world has kind of an internal logic to it. That combination is harder to pull off than it looks, and they have pulled it off. A lot of games give you the aesthetic of being a pirate. Windrose gives you that real feeling of it. I can just sail a ship, and if it's a nice, calm day, it's very relaxing, and you're just cruising along, and I could just sail for hours, just sailing around, picking up treasures in the ocean, exploring, and what they call the fog of war, cleaning that up on my map, and sometimes running into some places I shouldn't have been before. But the calm stretches are genuinely peaceful, and the rough ones feel really dangerous. It starts raining, and all of a sudden you've got a high-level batch of pirates aggroed on you. That range, it's hard to pull off in a game. And honestly, that kind of thing separates the not-so-great games from the better games. I want to be fair here because I think the game deserves an honest look and not just all praise. Obviously, it's in early access, so everything is not going to be perfect, and you can expect things to change on a regular basis as they advance the game towards full access. The early economy is a bit unforgiving. If you don't have someone telling you what to prioritize with your resources in the first few hours, it's easy to find yourself in a hole. It's not a game breaker, though. It's one of those things you can work your way out of. But it's the kind of friction that I think turns some people off before they get to the good stuff. There are also a few pacing valleys mid-game, stretches between story beats where the moment-to-moment doesn't quite carry you through. Again, not fatal, but worth knowing that it's going on. The foundation is strong enough that I trust these are things that are going to get better over time with the updates. So, should you play Windrose? Well, I think that comes down to 2 things. First of all, the main portion, well, like I said, it's 3 different types of games, but one of the main types of game is survival. So it's a building game, it's a harvesting and then build this thing to survive. And people who like to build nice structures and things like that, cool structures, and move your character through the game by learning more patterns and different things to soup up your base and make cooler stuff. Also, you definitely have to like the setting, right? The nautical type pirate setting. I think that combining these types of games along with a third type, which I would consider the exploring and completing quest type of situation in this game, that all builds. You keep building your character. It keeps getting stronger. Your base keeps getting stronger and bigger. If you're looking for a game that is, now this can be fast paced, but if you're looking for immediate payback and fast interaction like first person shooters and stuff like that, this might not be the game for you, because it is based upon the principle of harvesting and building things up and going out and enjoying your time exploring and stuff like that. And it's kind of the almost the polar opposite of like first person shooters or something like that. Although when you do get into battle, things do get heated. But for the majority of the game, I would say it's for people who like a game that's more slow paced. For me personally, I'm nowhere near done with this game. I am just getting started, and I'm really interested to see where the storyline goes from Tortuga and where the development crew takes this game in the future. So if you are interested in seeing where the storyline goes with me, please stick around. Shout out to the community that has joined me on my live streams. Having everybody along for the ride has really helped out. If you found this coverage useful, a like goes a long way. It helps it get out to more people on YouTube that might be interested in this game. As always, I try to keep things kind of low-key and honest, straightforward here on the channel. And if you happen to notice, I am wearing a newly revised version of the Bronze Dragon logo, which I have titled the Bronze Dragon Jolly Roger. And if you're interested in supporting the channel and getting a cool new t-shirt, check the link above. You can expect more Windrose coverage in the future. Thanks for watching. As always, this has been Bronze Dragon. I hope everyone on your side is happy and healthy. And as always, I'll see you in Windrose.